Right, hi everybody. Welcome back again to our conferences from the knowledge of oneself. Um, this week we're going to talk about a really super important part of this teachings that we're giving to you, that we have been giving to you now by this is conference 10, so it's been 10 weeks in which we have been sharing all these teachings to you. We're just gonna start. We're just gonna wait. Sorry for some more people to sign in, and meanwhile, I can tell you that we have been talking about before in previous conferences about astral projection, about the energetic centers of our body, which are different from chakras. These are centers that are actually within the physical body, so they're part of the physical world. We have been teaching you about the different dimensions of nature, that we are multidimensional beings, and some other stuff like that they're super important as well. But as we explained in the first conference, this knowledge is based on 4 pillars, and this is one of the pillars, yeah, which is called the art. Art is creation, so the creation is what we are aiming with this conference, specifically with this conference 10, in which we're going to explain the different energetic bodies that we can create throughout the usage of the suprasex or sexual alchemy, or there are so many names for this practice. And if you start even researching a little bit about that, this is not something that was invented 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It's very old, very ancient. Different cultures have been talking about this, many not in a very literal way in which we read the words, that's something that we usually do nowadays, that we take things in a very literal way and we read the words and probably that doesn't make sense to us, but everything is very symbolic. Everything related to the esoteric teachings, in any religion, even in any religion, you can see that it's hidden at the core of the teachings. Yeah, what most people know about world religions, just to make it clear, this is not a religious stuff, but it's everything is so connected. It's all basically coming from the same, but with different names and different cultures. So what I'm trying to say is that this practice was performed and taught many centuries ago, even from different ages, until the current times, when it's basically being forgotten. And it's really important to know that. Okay, so I think it's time. It's already been 3 minutes, so we're gonna start now. I think more people are here ready, and okay, we can start. And another reminder, this is a set of or 50 conferences that we're giving for free. We're not charging or asking money of any kind for this, for giving you all these teachings. And also you will be seeing that this is a really practical course, that all these teachings can actually be practiced, so that you can experience and you can prove how real or maybe not real they are to you. So here's my invitation for all of you to focus especially on the practice, yeah, to be more pragmatic about all those all these things that we're giving to you. Okay, all right, let's start. So the objective in this conference is that we know each one of the 7 bodies, or they're also called subtle bodies because they are made out of energy, not physical, not physically manifested, and their purposes. their nature, and how we can create them through suprasex. So first of all, we have 7 bodies. Yeah, so these are called in many ways. Some people know them like the subtle energetic bodies. In Gnosticism, we know them like the superior existential bodies of the being. These bodies are created merely with energy, just with energy. So it's basically an energy work that should be carried out by a couple, man and woman. Okay. All right. Let's start talking about each of them. We're gonna go from left to right. Okay. So we're gonna start from the physical body until the last one, the ethnic body. So the physical body. We know that physical body, which is this body that we have that we can perceive with our 5 senses, it is ruled by 48 laws. It is said that this is also connected with the number of genes that we have in the human genome, So it is said that we have 46 like specific human genes, and 2 are of etheric nature, so they're not actually proved or looked or cannot be seen by the official science. Okay, so it's like very additional information about that. So we know that this body is has a cellular nature. Yeah, we know we are made out of cells, which are like forming this physical material body. It's related to the earth element. Yeah. So regarding the earth, when some masters says that the universe is within each one of us, that's real. And also the elements. We have all the elements of nature within ourselves. It's just that we have this perception that we can literally see like the elements within. But it's more related to the, like, let's say in a metaphoric way, to the energy, the types of energy we have, because we are made out of so many types of energy. So we have centers, as I said before in the previous conference. We talk about that. So these centers, each one of them, it's being ruled by certain natures. It's like working all together with these elements. Yeah, so when I say elements of nature, it's obviously earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Okay, so this first one is related to earth. As you can also compare it with the chakras, they have also like very similar characteristics with the elements. Okay, so as you see, it is found, as you see in the picture, in the sexual center. Okay, that's the position of that, or where we can, let's say, like talk about physical body. Like it's related to this element. So when we are talking about earth element, we know that the elementals of this element are gnomes or pygmies. Yeah, so those are the soul spirits found in this element. Yeah, it is related to the sexual center. So in the sexual center, there, when you see the red dot, in this part of our body, we manage the creative sexual energy. That's obvious. We have our sexual reproductive organs there. So the function there is to create. That's actually the function. We're also talking about the hydrogen, which is merely like maybe more advanced terminology in terms of the esoteric understanding of the composition of our energies, but it's also related with the laws, as you see, 48. Yeah. We already have this body, that's obvious, but we need to regenerate it. What do you mean by that? You say, we know we have a physical body, that's obvious for all of us, but maybe the current state of this body is not precisely what we would want it to be like, Like there are like lots of illnesses. We're sick. We kind of feel, let's say, not completely healthy sometimes. So it's all related to this, yeah? If we go throughout the many times that we have come to Earth, not only this lifetime, but also previous existences, we have been using our body in not a very balanced way. So we're talking about the loss of karma. We know that we kind of inherit what we did before. So the actions, the right or wrong actions that we tend to fall before in previous existences are currently very connected to this one right now. So sometimes we are kind of suffering from certain illnesses and we don't know why. We're just like blaming God or the existence for it. But it has a reason. It's connected to that. Okay? And we will start seeing this energy, this creative sexual energy, in a completely different way. Because nowadays we have a completely shallow perception of this. We just see it as like a fun. We just see it like something like with not a let's say, we see it in a very subjective way, yeah. But it's a vision that has been let's say, it has been perceived in this way like from so many centuries ago. But that's something that we can change now. We're living in very important times right now. We know that things are changing. We know that the planet Earth is changing. So do we. We need to be part of that change. So this can be a very good start for that, to change our perception of what we think or the concepts that we have regarding sex. Okay. So this body is found in the third dimension. As you see, the 3D is related to that. And the current state of this body is lunar. What do we mean by lunar? You see the little moon on the picture. So it's related to that. We are creating solar bodies, which are related to photonic energy. That's like the aim of creating these bodies. And the highest form will be the solar, the photonic energy. But right now our energies are like so low, the vibration is like so low, that right now they're in this lunar state. Okay, let's go to the next body. It's called the vital or etheric body. This body is like very closely related to the physical body. That's why it has the same number of laws. It's ruled by the same number of laws. It's 48. The nature of this body is etheric. Yeah. So it handles with 4 different types of ethers. This is a little bit also like maybe advanced terminology for this. But it's just to let you know that it is related to all these types of ethers that we have in this body. Okay. So we have the chemical body, we have the luminous body, the luminous ether, the reflector ether, and the ether of life. Yeah. So these are like, let's say, stages in which our ether is moving, consistently moving throughout our lives. Yeah. It's like steps of how this ether is manifesting. Yeah, say it like that. Okay. So it is related also to the water element. So as we're going up, we're like kind of taking a deep look inside these bodies. We see that each of them is coming from dense, the most dense form of the elements, until like the lightest one. Okay, so from earth, that was the first one, we're going now to water. Again, it's also very related to chakras. So we find this body in the fourth dimension. Yeah, that's the only difference. So this vital body is like which basically makes our physical body move. It's like energizes the physical body. Yeah. And also the elementals that are related to this element are the undines and the nerites. Okay. Alright. As you see the moon, yep, it's currently in lunar state. We're still talking about this. So it's related also to the instinctive center. So as you see in the picture, that yellow dot, that's the instinctive center. Okay. So in here, what do we find in this center? We find many important things related to our energy, to our mind, to our feelings, to our desires. Yeah, all those subtle forms of energy that we deal with on daily basis are super related to this center, but also let's say like our karma. Yeah. Again, if you want to see a little bit more about this, you can go and watch our conference on the 7 centers as well, which is conference 4. So talking about the instinctive center, so it produces the vital energy. So as I was saying before, that's the energy that makes our physical body move, the vital energy or work. It is called the tetra-sustaining energy. Why? Because all the energy that which is produced in there is then kind of shared with the other centers of the body. Yeah. So this one is in charge of giving portions of energy to the other centers of the body so that our body works properly. This energy is placed in the sexual center in order to create. Okay, so you see there, it's in that part, in that area of like the lower abdomen. Again, all right, it works with the hydrogen 48. We already have it, but we need to regenerate it. Okay, as physical body, this is the same. We have it, but we just need to regenerate it. Alright, something that I forgot to say is that it's also related to the musical notes. It's like certain very specific musical notes make each of these bodies or sentence vibrate. So with the first one, the physical body, we have the do. Then in here in the vital body, we have re. Okay, so that's also extra information for you to know. Alright, let's go now to a very popular body which most people have heard of, which is the astral body. Now you see that the number of loss here has lowered. It's less than the previous ones. And the nature of this body is molecular. It's actually molecular, not cellular or etheric. Molecular. So we find molecules are kind of the body is made of. Alright, it's related to the fire element. Again, you see we're going from bottom to top. It's getting lighter. So here it's the fire element. So we know that fire it's related to the elementals that are called the salamanders. Salamanders of fire. Those are the elementals of this element. So it is related to the inferior emotional center. So when talking about centers of the body, that's the location, just right in the middle of our like stomach, the let's say like on your navel, yeah, the abdomen there. It manages the emotional energy because that's the emotional inferior emotional center. All right. It works with our inner fire. That's obvious. Um, we know that fire is related to emotion. That's why when you get angry or when someone else gets angry, like very strong emotions, you feel like a strange sensation in your stomach. If you take a deep look at that, you can even feel something burning inside when there's a lot of anger. That's related to that with the fire. You see, the fire that makes the energy. Um, it's like the source of the emotions. That's the emotion. The meaning of the word emotion. Let's say, like what creates the energy. The hydrogen it's 24, also related to the number of laws, and just few human beings have it now. So we have to create it. So you might think, some people are really good at astral projection, and they can do it like very daily basis, or like they can do it on purpose, like at will. They can do it easier than other people. That's kind of maybe related to previous spiritual work from previous existences, from previous lives. Maybe that person developed a consistency on spiritual practices. Maybe that person worked with the Kundalini energy. There are like many practices that maybe can or would have helped that person develop more astral experiences than other people. So that's why some people have it, and some people have to. A few of us have it, but most of us have to create it. Yeah. But there's like a little small portion of people that have like a, let's say like they developed the principle of this body, but it's not like the body itself. So they can still practice astral projection very well. So this body can be found in the fifth dimension, because our dream realm, the astral world, is the fifth dimension. So it's related to that. And it's also on a lunar state. Right? Right. We know what our astral body can do. We talked about also in the third conference about astral projection. So astral projection is a technique that can be used for getting more precise information from the universe, from the source, even from maybe Akasha. Some people might get information from that realm of nature, which is like really high dimensions. But astral projection, what I mean is like a really good tool for us to prove or to know certain aspects of our own lives, something that we would like to know. Yeah, it's like a very important tool for the esoteric practice. So we can prove certain methods, techniques, and see what is real and what is not real. Yeah. So this is a really, really important body. It's a body to used for proving things, how real or not real they are. We can also ask like this current life or existence that I'm living, like which is maybe one of my last ones. Probably you can ask that, like, is this my last life here on earth? Is this my, or what number of existence is the current one that I'm living now? You can ask something like that. Or who was my mom in my previous existence? Who was my brother in my previous existence? Like, there are so many questions you can ask regarding your spiritual work. Now we go to the mental body. So the mental body is also closely related to the astral body, but as you see, the laws here are less. It's like half from the previous one. It's 12 laws, only 12. So the nature of this body is atomic. Yeah, you see, we're going from the big picture to the very, very small, from the macro to the micro. All right, so it manages the element of air. Okay, air element. And the elementals related to this element are the sylphs and sylphids of air. This body is related to the inferior intellectual center. As you see, it's right here on your heart, your chest. And yeah, so that's in talking about centers, not chakras, but centers. It's called the inferior intellectual center. It manages then the mental energy. So we have here, we find that this center works with mental energy. And again, the hydrogen is 12, like less than the previous ones. It's getting every time lighter. It's like the vibration of our bodies getting, say, vibrating in a higher way, but we call it also in a lighter way because it's not so dense. The density is getting like way lighter than before. Only a few people have this body. Yeah, just a few portion of people have this body. We need to create it. And it's also in a lunar state. And we find it again in the 5th dimension. So in the 5th dimension, we find the astral world and the mental world. Both of them. They're very similar. And the note, the musical note related to this center is Fa. There is a practice that we will be teaching later for concentration and intuition that is related to this center and specifically with this musical note. Alright, it's on a lunar state as well. Now, let's go to the causal body or the body of will. This body is ruled by only 6 laws. Yeah. The nature of this body is electronic. It is called the human soul. You'll see why we call it like that. On the next conference, next week, we will be talking about how to actually create soul and spirit, because we just have like a principle of soul which needs to be developed throughout the spiritual practices. Yeah, so that's why we call it the human soul, because once we reach this point, when we create all these 5 bodies and then we reach this body of will, we actually say that we have a complete human soul. And it manages the element of ether, so even lighter than the others. It's related to the motor center. So when talking about the centers, we call this the motor center, or related to movement. That's why the word motor. And it manages the motive energy. It works then with hydrogen 6. Again, less dense energy. A few human beings have it. We must create it. So to make a very small note about the hydrogens, which I haven't explained that well, that hydrogen is very closely related to our sexual energy, to the state of our sexual energy, how pure, how clear, like it is working now, or how pure it is now. So that's related to that. And yeah, we must create this body. This body is then found in the 6th dimension. So it's like, wow, getting up there. It's now on a lunar state as well. We all of us have it, but it's on a lunar state, so it's not working properly. We need to create it. And the musical note related to it is Sol. Now we have the sixth body, which is called the Buddhic or consciousness body. You see, the location is right here in front of our third eye or pituitary gland. It's ruled by 6 laws as well. See, it's the same number of laws from the previous one. It has a magnetic nature. It's made out then of protons. It is called our divine soul. Yeah. It is related then to the superior emotional center. So again, this center is called the superior emotional center, which is the pituitary gland. So here, this is the vehicle, the real and actual vehicle to communicate effectively with Akasha, which is like the library, let's say, that knows everything about everyone, about every single person or being on this planet or on the universe. So that's the source of all this knowledge that some masters could attain like many centuries ago, and that was the source that told them many let's say facts about how the world functioned, and they left all those teachings to all of us until our current days. Some of those teachings were forgotten, but some others are still currently being used. So the Akasha is like a very powerful or source of information for all of us. It's very precise. It's not like a theory or like a scientific theory that we have here that can change from time to time, that maybe in 50 years the theories that we have now will not be suitable for those times, so they will kind of improve it or change it, but this information is like eternal. So it is said that this body has not fallen in all the human beings. Say, all of these 5 that we have from here until our sexual glands are like fallen, let's say. That's why they are in a lunar state. But this one and the last one, it is said that they didn't fall, that they're actually there, waiting for us to connect our human soul with the divine soul. See? And the musical note related to it is La. And the current state of this body is actually solar. That's why it didn't fall, didn't become lunar. It's solar. Now let's go to the last one. The last body, which is called the atmic body. This body is only ruled by 3 laws. You know that 3 is a powerful number, the number of creation. So this body has a luminous or photonic nature. So when we're talking about photons, it's just light. It is the lower that our being or our real self can descend. So our real selves, like a real essence of each one of us, is found in the spiritual realm. But we cannot get in touch with it because our current state of unconsciousness, the wrong usage of our energies, our mind, our emotions, our desires, everything is so unbalanced today. That's why it is so hard for each of us to actually reach that realm and get in touch with our real self. So it is said that we are just like a representation of that higher sphere of the universe, which our real selves are inhabiting right now. Yeah. So it is said that the lowest dimension that real self that each one of us possess, the lowest level that he can actually come down to us is the 7th dimension. You see, so that's why it is said that this is the lower or the lowest level that our being can descend. That's why. Because it comes from the spiritual world. And this density in the material world is too much for that body. And our body is too dense to go to that dimension. That would be very hard for us to actually survive there. It would be like so bright and so luminous and like so much light that we couldn't handle with it. We would be disintegrated. It's related then with the superior intellectual center, which we find in here, or the pineal gland. And it has not fallen in all human beings, as I said before. It's still in a solar state, but it's disconnected. Like these higher centers with the lower ones are disconnected. So that's the job, to connect them to achieve divinity. And the musical note that vibrates with this body is C. Alright, that's enough with all the bodies. We talked about the different 7 bodies, existential bodies that we can create through the usage of the suprasex practice. Now we're gonna actually be talking about that practice. Like, how can we achieve that practice? So how are the existential bodies created? So it is really necessary to have a life partner of the opposite sex to carry out this job. Why? Because men and women work with different types of energy. And those types of energy complement each other. One is positive and the other is negative. Man is positive type, and woman is the negative one. And I'm not going about like who's positive or who's negative. No, it's just about energy. Yeah, like the poles of energy. So as to say, when we kind of join our bodies, we create electromagnetism because let's say like the woman is more related to the magnetic and men to the electric. So that's why it becomes electromagnetic. So that's why 2 people from the same sex cannot do this, because they will be having like positive and positive and negative and negative. And those energies will repel. They won't be able to actually join together to create this electromagnetism that is being given to the body of a woman and a man. That's why. Just examples of that are like pretty common for daily life. Like when we see our light bulb, that light bulb actually can work because it's working with 2 currents. It's working with the negative and the positive. So then when they go together, that's why it creates a 3rd force, which is the light. It's basically the same. Okay, so he or she must be interested in helping with collaborating in attaining the same goal. So it's very important that your partner is also willing to do this. You cannot make the other person do what you want, like to vulnerate his or her will. This should be like an agreement with the 2 of you. Okay, it's very important. And it's also really important, and I want to emphasize on this because there are pretty obvious reasons that maybe some people don't know. That's normal. Not to change partners. Constantly change partners. It has consequences on the energetic levels. So in case you have to do that, maybe that your partner is not willing to do this with you, and he or she wants to keep just going on the same sex practice, and maybe you want to go on a more transcendental way. Well, that's your decision, but it's important to have a stable couple, a stable partner to do this. In case you do that, in case that you have to separate, that you need to break up or something, it is recommended, like highly recommended, to wait at least 1 year. That's the least that you can wait. Why? Because there must be something going on the energetic levels that is called the magnetic pause, which is the magnetism created by that person in your body centers your energy centers, would last for 1 year in your body, in your physical body, and also in your etheric bodies. So to share that energy, sexual energy, with a person is, that's why it's so say like something that you should take care of, right? It has consequences. That's something that most people don't know nowadays, sadly. The consequences that some actions can bring with your decisions. So it's important to have this time for you to demagnetize from that other person, so that all the systems of your body, the nadis that are moving the energy from your centers, the sexual center and all the other centers, kind of purify. It's kind of like they clean that energy. Yeah, so until the energy is cleared and you're only working with your own energy and no magnetism from other person, that's why it's the time to be given for this pause. Okay. Also, we need to love and value our partner in order to cultivate true love. It's very important to actually do this, feeling love for that person. Yeah, love is such a high and superior feeling. Yeah, that it shouldn't just come with sensations, with physical sensations. It's something much more than that. We need to understand that. And once we start seeing that, we will see that person with different eyes and everything will change. So remember the hermetic principles, the correspondence principle. As it's found within, it's found outside. Okay? So we must appreciate the creative sexual energy. As I said before, this energy is kind of undervalued nowadays, sadly. Because most people nowadays, they just see sex as a way of having fun, enjoying sensations, or maybe even with more, let's say, in a more brutal way, a more sadistic way, negative ways. Okay, we need to acknowledge, and first of all understand, and then acknowledge the importance of this energy. Really, definitely, this energy is like very devalued nowadays. But if you think about it, this is the energy that creates life. So when two people from different poles of energy get together, they can create another human being. That's the only energy from the body that can do that. Not the mental energy, not the emotional energy, not the motive energy. Yeah, those types of energy have different functions, but this one has the function of creating. So that's why it is so important to value this energy, to appreciate this energy, and change that perspective that we have been like taught like from so long, because it's been now like hundreds of years with this perception of sex like it's dirty, that it's like negative, that it should be, that it's not like a pure action. Yeah, we need to change that. We need to transform that vision. And that energy in fact is called the Divine Mother, because she is the responsible for making all of these creations, not only babies, not only human beings, but all these bodies. There are vehicles for each of us to actually go to different dimensions, or to move in a multidimensional way. Not everyone can do that. These realizations will allow us all to gradually eliminate the eye of fornication. So in this part, I want to make it very clear that when we talk about fornication, we're not talking about or referring to it in a religious way, because fornication is like very mentioned, like it's actually been mentioned in the Bible, like many different parts. But the concept of fornication is it's been like twisted nowadays. Yeah. So chastity and fornication nowadays is like completely twisted. So we may think that fornication is just having sex with a person that is not our partner, or like cheating on our partner, right? But actually when we talk about fornication, it's spilling our energy. So for this practice, we need to keep that energy, not spilling the energy through the orgasm or ejaculation. You might think that it's impossible, but it's not. And I can tell from practice, right? And many more people that are practicing this, they have proved this to be real. It's so hard for us maybe to think about this, like having sex and not getting an orgasm or ejaculation, because we're so used to it. Like the media, society, cultures have shown us sex in a completely degenerated way, a completely subjective way, and just like a perception of the sensations of our five senses. Yeah. So the ancient civilizations knew the importance of this, and that's why they left like so many sculptures that you will even find, for example, in India, like so many ancient temples there that are like even older than 5,000 years, that are depicting all people there, like couples having sex, but they didn't see it actually in the morbid way that we do nowadays. They saw it like a natural aspect of life, the creation. Yeah. So that's something that we need to start to understand if we want to continue with this spiritual work, this creation of our bodies or ourselves. So that's why they say that chastity is the foundation of the entire work. And when we refer to chastity, we're referring to not spilling the energy. We're actually having sex with a person, with our partner. Yeah, they go together. But we do not spill the energy. That's the only difference. And it doesn't mean that we're like robots, that we cannot feel anything nice with the other person, that we're just there like together and looking at each other and that's it. No, it requires love and passion as well. But it must be directed in a more conscious way. So both members must be aware of the work they will engage in and must work at it with improvement every day. So when you and your partner start working on this, and you have a specific goal on developing these bodies, yeah, on creating yourself through this practice and through the energy, you will see that you need to start improving, that you will find ways of like accommodating, or like in which way is better, and start like making it more perfect every day. So with practice we start to make it perfect and to improve it, to improve the practice. So the secret of practice is what I just said before, to connect the male lingam with the female yoni. These are terms that are used from Hinduism, I know, but we mentioned this here because they had that very clear like many centuries ago. So the same sexual connection is just that we do not spill this sexual creative energy. That's the secret. So the practice of transmutation of sexual energy. Now we're going to the practice, okay? So the practice of suprasex or transmutation of sexual energy. So again, this practice receives many names. It can be called suprasex. It can be called sexual transmutation. It can be called sexual alchemy. Some people call it sex magic. From ancient times, they were called it like Isahana Maithuna. Many names. Tantra, yeah, like white tantra. Is all referring to the same. So what we do here first, the very first step, is to protect ourselves. we're going to be working with the most refined and strong energy that we have, the energy that is able to create life. So that's why we need to protect ourselves from any negative aspects surrounding us. So for this, we do the Bellarine conjuration and the magic circle, which are two conjurations that we taught on in the 7th conference. If you want to take a look at it, it's pretty simple. It's just saying like some words and being focused on them. So once you say you casted these two conjurations, one is for clearing the place from negative larvae or negative energies, and the other is for kind of making a circle, like a bubble, for protecting you and your partner that are within. Okay, so first we do the Berlin magic circle. After that, we will plead to our inner or interior Father and Divine Mother. We're talking about the two aspects of creation. Yeah, so God cannot be just a man. Remember the law of polarity. So there must be two poles. Okay, so God is creator because he has these two polarities at the same time. So with both of them he can create. But as we are separated in general for men and women, the same principle is found within ourselves. Yeah, so we have that spark of consciousness that was given to us from the divine absolute, from the absolute sum, where we come from. It is said that we have these two forces within ourselves, these principles of polarity, the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. Okay, so religions nowadays, for example, for the Divine Mother, it is very well known. For example, in Christianism or Catholicism, they know of the Virgin Mary. See, from Hindus, maybe it's Shakti. From Egypt, it's called they call her Isis. Yeah, and many more cultures that have held very similar teachings. So we have these principles within, just to make it clear. So every time that you carry out this practice, it's very important to ask them, because they are the love, the divine love, and the divine wisdom that can lead you, that can assist you, help you in the practice to focus, to keep, to maintain concentration, to create something superior, right? Because that's what we want to do with this, to create ourselves, to connect with that divinity that we have within ourselves. Okay, so that's very important to ask these two parts of your consciousness. I can tell you that it makes a huge difference to do it and not doing it. They help you, they will assist. Alright, so now when we are done with all this protection and energetic protection and leading to your inner mother and father, we're now going to the process itself, the respiratory process that has 3 stages. Sorry, oops. Okay, so something that was maybe that we didn't mention here in the slides, it's that at that point you can start kissing your partner, touching it with a lot of let's say with much love, not with a morbid and kind of lustful way, because that makes a huge difference. Just the beginning of the practice will mark also the rest of the practice. It's very important. So go focus on that. You can love your partner. You can touch your partner. You can caress your partner's face. You can, touching is normal. Maybe you cannot just go that far from maybe masturbate or masturbate your partner. No, we're not looking for that, because that's actually not our aim here. That will be only focusing on your animal sensations, let's say, on your sensual mind. That sensual mind will ask you to get pleasure, but we're not just looking for that. That's not the only purpose, because we will feel a lot of pleasure, but in a very different way, in a superior and more transcendental way, right? But the basis here is to really focus on your objective, on your goal. This is a spiritual practice. This is a very sacred practice. We're working with the sacred fire that we have within ourselves, so it must be carried out with a lot of love and compassion, and in a very say sweet way. We're being like very like nowadays like so used to being even violent with our partners, and we don't even notice it. You will start noticing maybe with the practice how some aspects of your psychology are leading you to actually look for more sensations than just love. Okay, so it's very important to clarify that. So at that point you will caress your partner, you will be kissing. That's normal. That's important because we need to set fire. The fire that we find in our first center, yeah, we will feel like a fire there, like hot. It feels very hot. That's actually what we call fire, to set the fire. You will feel it. That's like a pretty obvious sensation. And once you have that fire like on, you can both connect. You can connect the lingam, the male lingam, and the female yoni. So that's basically penis and vagina. That's what I mean. And then you will start like soft movements, and until you're ready, you will start this process of like respiratory process. Let's go very deep with this, very clear. So in the first part of this respiratory process, we have the inhalation, then we have the retention, and then we have the exhalation. In the first part, in the inhalation, it is recommended that we inhale air for 20 seconds. If you cannot do it for 20 seconds, that's fine. As you practice this, you will get better at it, and you will be gaining more ability to take in more air. It's just practice, okay? So you will imagine the flow of air when you inhale from your nostrils to the lungs, and then you send it to your sexual glands. So in this case, we're talking about women, okay? So you will send it to the ovaries. In the ovaries, you kind of can imagine how the air is going down, and you will feel it. Yeah, you'll feel it. So the air gets to the ovaries, right? At that point, we need the retention. That it's also 20 seconds. Again, if you cannot do 20 seconds, that's fine. Just try as much as you can. There you will imagine and feel a gold or golden thread like going up through the spine. Yeah. So in the picture it's very clear. You see that the air stopped at the ovaries, and then at that point we make the retention. So we hold the air. Then we send it through the uterus. That will help like pump the energy to send it up. The energy will go all the way through the spine until it reaches here, the third eye, the pituitary gland. Here we start the exhalation. Again, 20 seconds. Just try as much as you can. So when it reaches this point, you will start pronouncing a mantra, which is just a vowel. We will start with the vowel I. but you will say it in this way. So let's imagine the process. So inhalation. Now we're going to the retention. And I will imagine going it up through the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Exhalation. Okay, that's the first one. Now with the other two it's exactly the same thing. So I'm gonna try to do it fast to show you. So now let's go with the A, the vowel A. So again, the last one, mantra O, the same. O. Yep. So it's basically doing the same procedure, but with each of the vowels. So be careful not to do the 3 vowels at the same time. No, you need to do all the process of inhalation, retention, and exhalation with every vowel. Okay, and then you start again with the next vowel, and so on. Okay, vowel by vowel, repeating all the respiratory process. Okay, so again, the process needs concentration. That's the key, concentration, to focus. We have like so little concentration nowadays. Like we are so having like so many difficulties with this from school until we grow up, and we have now this all this technology that is kind of distracting us all the time. So we need to start working on that. We'll be also teaching some techniques for concentration in upcoming conferences, just to let you know. Okay. Now for men, I would say the process is exactly the same. What we're changing here is just to explain the different physiology of men. So when men does this practice, which is basically the same like women, they just take the deep breath from the nostrils in the nose, they send the air to the lungs. Then the only difference here will be the sexual glands, which won't be ovaries, obviously. It will be on the prostate, the testicles. Okay, so the testicles will receive that flow of air. Okay, so you need to be, again, very concentrated. This is a process that requires a lot of focus and concentration. You cannot be planning or remembering things at that time, because you won't be able to do it. Okay, and you actually can feel that when you did it in the right way. So send the air to the testicles. Once they are there, you will make the retention of the air, send all the energy through the spine, send it vertebra by vertebra, and you will send it until the third eye or pituitary gland. The same. Okay. As I said, the only difference are the glands. The glands here are the testicles, but it's exactly the same process. So let's try it again to remember. So inhalation, retention, exhalation. And do the same thing with the other vowels, vowel by vowel, repeating the whole respiratory process, and that's it. Okay, so again, remember, we need to focus on the energy. We need to focus on the flow of air. When we feel our glands are kind of swallowing and receiving the air, then we kind of imagine the golden thread, and you will actually feel it. You will feel like, some people feel like there's like fire going up. Some people feel like a little bit of heat. Some people feel like even some air around this area. It's up to you, but it's like mostly common to say that it feels hot when the energy is going up. so you can actually feel it. So you need to imagine it. Imagine like a golden thread or like golden sparks going up through the spine. That's very important. So finally, just to finish, we're going to give some recommendations for this practice. Okay? It is absolutely necessary that 3 things occur within the practice. These 3 things I just mentioned before are concentration, imagination, and will. Okay? Concentration obviously needs to be action-centered awareness. So that's what concentration means, to be centered only on one thing. And when we are doing that, on the action, to become the center in the action. So that's what we need to do. What's the center of the action? All the process that I'm doing in the practice. Once again, imagination. For the wise, to imagine is to see and create. That's what it is said. So if you imagine all the process, you will see how it's actually being felt, like within your body. As I said before, this is not like inventions. This is actually coming from experience from people, not only me, but other people who have experienced this. So it's real. But you need a lot of imagination. And this imagination is called conscious imagination, because you are the one that it's asking it to work in the way that you need it. So instead of the common imagination where like your mind starts like coming up with strange pictures and images of things, you are the one in charge, not your psyche, not your mind. Okay? It's you. And finally, the will. This is super necessary. Super necessary. I didn't mention it before, but yeah. Will is very necessary here. You may say why? Well, just to finding like the right words. You're used to have this like current sex practice that it's nowadays being carried out, that it's actually called infrasex. When we know like sex nowadays, it's called infrasex. So it's like a lower way of sex. This is suprasex, that's why it's a higher way. Yeah. As you see in the picture from behind, you see that this is a Buddhist image from the Tibet. And in that tradition, it's normal to talk about this, because they know about all of this information that I'm giving to you. Yeah, about the polarity of the human being, the capacity to create themselves and create these bodies. So it's not inventions. So the will is super necessary to overcome this necessity or need of sensations, of mere sensations. We're so used to receive pleasure all the time, not only through sex but also through other senses, that we just get addicted to it. So it becomes an addiction. So you must be clear on this. We must be clear on this. If you want to carry out this practice, it needs to be a very serious commitment to change your perspective. If you're working on your consciousness, that's fine. That's what we're doing here, to liberate the consciousness. So while we are liberating consciousness, we will be working on some meditations and reflections, like transcendental meditations, on what is real and what is not. So we need to understand what's the real part of sex, the creation, right? Nowadays, it's just being used for pleasure, for giving us, each of us, sensations. But love, no clue of it during the practice, because we're going to very let's say infradimensional levels of consciousness in which we are now, the current society and humanity right now, for humankind. So we need to stop looking at sex as that way and seeing it like the most powerful tool for creating. This is the way we came to earth, by this practice. Maybe our parents didn't know about this, but we are that seed that they made grow. So we, all of us, have these seeds that can be planted into the earth to make them grow as other human beings, or they can even be thrown away like garbage with infrasex, which we have been doing for so long. But with the suprasex, it's like transmuting or transforming that seed into energy for our own purpose or our own use. That's the difference. So that's why will is so necessary here, to stop looking for mere sensations of pleasure, and stop with this fornication that I was talking about, that is just spilling the sexual energy, and start transforming it. Like, because our body is like a living laboratory in which we have the nadis, that are like all these channels, energetic channels that can move all the energy from our body. They are connected to the vital body. Then the vital body is connected to the physical body. It's all connected. So all the glands as well. We have glands within the body that have very specific purposes, and they are all connected. So we start to look at it in a very different way and start seeing with the eyes of consciousness. Okay, so that's the will. It's necessary to meddle and to overcome this desire of just spilling the energy, to have 5 seconds of pleasure without measuring the consequences. This procedure is repeated as many times as necessary. Yeah, all these respiratory processes, what I mean. When we withdraw or we end the practice of sex without spilling the creative sexual energy, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, that is to say, without reaching the orgasm or ejaculation. We tend to think that these two sensations are the higher ways of like pleasure, or the highest sensations that we can ever feel in our lives. That's not true. Yeah, the ignorance of our current times has led us to think this, because we are so merely ruled by the physical forms and the material world, that we just perceive reality with the 5 senses instead of just going further than that. We have all the capacities to develop more senses: intuition, clairvoyance, telemetry, like so many. But still we prefer to hold on to those sensations because it's just an immediate gratification for the senses. Remember, we have the third brain. We have the emotional brain, instinctive, sexual brain, and we have the intellectual brain, which is what makes us different from plants and animals. So we need to start behaving like that, with like the capacity of connected with the divinity that we have within. Humanity, the humankind nowadays, it's like so distant from that divinity, and through this practice we're looking to connect again with that divinity. Okay, so it's just to make it clear. And yeah, you carry out this process all the time. Maybe if during the process, let's say, the woman is not lubricated, or the man lost the I forgot the word. Yeah, like the organs are not like maybe feeling ready for continue with the practice, but still you feel the fire of the energy like you need to work with there. You can again start again with caresses, kissing each other, holding, hugging, touching. Yeah, like in a conscious way, obviously. And then start the process again until you feel that you have like no more, let's say, desire to be with the other person. Like the energy, you run out of energy from the sexual center, and that you feel like, so there is no lubrication for the yoni, for not talking about women. And the lingam is not erect anymore. That's it. Alright, so important. It's important to practice this only once per night. These are very important things that most people don't know about sex, and especially regarding this suprasex practice. So I just want you to know this. So practice only once per night. Why? Because the glands, let's say for women the ovaries or for men testicles, they work alternately one per night. So on one night, one is the one of producing the energy, and on the other night, the other gland. Okay. So it is necessary to allow at least 20 hours for the other to start working again. So you had the practice, let's say at 7 p.m. and then on the next day you need to wait at least 20 hours to do it again if you want that. Okay. Before, that will be harmful to you because your body won't be producing enough energy, and then will be stealing energy from other centers, which is not what we're looking for. Concentrate on your genitals, on your sex apparatus. Okay, you need to focus on your own, not on the other person's one. So because each one of us works with our own energy, not with the other person's energy. The other person is helping us manage and awaken that energy to transform it. But we're not working with his or her energy. So you need to focus on yours, on your own body and your own energy. This is like mandatory. Do not use birth control methods. If you want our energy to be like ready to transmute it, it must be at its highest state. That means that if you're using birth control methods, you're actually working with hormones that are not natural in your body. So you're kind of modifying that type of energy on your body. It's not pure sexual energy. It's being modified. So it doesn't work. You won't create something as superior as wished with having these birth control methods. Okay, and also it has more like implications that we will be talking maybe later about things that should be like reflected or meditated on this. Also, it's super important, like mandatory, to not have a tubal ligation or vasectomy for this. Remember that everything is connected to these channels, the nadis that work with our energy. So if you're actually a person with these procedures, that you carried out these procedures before and right now you have this, it's impossible to take the energy up from your sexual center until here. There's no way. You need to regenerate it or get a surgery to actually regenerate that part of your body so that it's again connected with the rest of the nadis and the rest of also the physical body, because it won't be able to conduct the energy. Also, you should have your reproductive organs and spine as well in a good condition. This is because, again, the way we take up the energy is a strong energy, and our body needs to be healthy in a natural way and its highest way as possible. Okay, just to finish here, during the moment of the practice, you need to make very soft movements so as not to spill the energy. That is to say, so as not to spill the energy or that a sexual fall occurs. Yeah. If you're maybe making like too strong movements that will be stimulating too much, overstimulating too much, and then you can have a sexual spill or fall, and that will be like fornication as well. So you will be losing the practice there. You will be wasting your time in the practice. So it's important to try to make soft movements, especially at the beginning, because it's a huge change, I know, from perspective, but it's worthy. After the practice, wait at least 2 hours to take a bath. Again, all the things that we're talking about here are regarding the energy from our bodies. We don't know ourselves. If we don't know our psychology or psyche, we don't even know our physical form, how it works. We know that we have organs, that we have cells, that we have eyes, that we have ears, but there are like certain parts of our body that function in certain ways, like subtle ways that we ignore, and this is part of that. Yeah, especially in our current times. So that's very recommended to take a shower, take a bath at least 2 hours after the practice, because your body is like completely electromagnetized at that time, and then putting water in it's like the current maybe won't be working properly, so it will also have consequences on the physical body. Yeah, it's like having like say a short circuit. Yeah, it won't be working um, throughout the years. They will have consequences. Okay, so do not practice during your period. This is for women only. Do not practice during your period. You must respect the 7 days of period. Again, the energy levels that we're dealing with at those days are like highly, let's say, like the polarities are not balanced at that time, and the negative pole of our energy at that time is kind of over kind of say it's like more present at that time. So that's why we have all these emotional issues at that time, because our psychology tends to be like even more dense, and our energy levels are also working in a like kind of more dense way. So it's kind of ego, it's like kind of ego, it's manifesting even more on those days. So, and also because our energy, the period is a way for our body and energetic body also as well to get rid of all those unnecessary things of our body that our body doesn't need. So it's like very contradictory to actually do this practice during those days, because we're creating like superior and conscious bodies with like energy, and then we are at the same time spelling like things that are not useful anymore for us. So it's not recommended. Do not, okay, it shouldn't be practiced when pregnant as well. Remember, there is another being in your belly at that time. So if there is like a sexual union at that time, it's like almost having sex with the baby. And I'm not exaggerating, it is like that if you see it that way. So it's like having sex in the presence of your own child. And as it is part of you, it's within your body, it's also even like considering like having sex with them. So that's not nice. We don't want that, okay? So that's like a time that should be respected for the couple. We will be teaching another practice for dealing with your sexual energy in case that you are maybe at that time you cannot be with your partner because of this, or if you're single. It shouldn't be practiced while breastfeeding as well. The same thing. The energy from the mom needs to be pure and not mixed with someone else's to feed the baby. It will affect the milk. It is recommended to have a bridal room in a very in very good conditions of cleanliness and neatness. So remember, this is like a sacred ritual with your partner. So you need to be in a place that is like very nice, clean, that smells good. By this I don't mean that you need to like put flowers everywhere, and I mean, no, just a place that is organized, nice, neat, and clean. And if it's on your bridal bed, that's better. It's a place that it's only the two of you, no one else. Remember that everything is energy, and places that are not nice, not our own home, or even hotels or somewhere else, there is something called larva. Like there are like traces of negative energies from other people around. So we don't want that in the practice. So that is why it's also recommended in your own bed as well. All right. So this is our conference. I forgot to say at the beginning, if you have questions, just write them down on the comments section and I will be answering them. This is very important practice. This is, as I said before, one of the pillars of this knowledge. So if you maybe have no idea or no clue what I'm talking about, just browse at the video section here in the Facebook page and you will find the other 9 videos regarding these teachings. Okay, and as well on YouTube. We will be uploading everything on our YouTube channel, which is called the same, Knowledge of Oneself, and you will find it pretty easily. Okay, all right. So thank you for coming today. I hope this practice shows you like things that you didn't consider before in a more objective way. And if you want to practice it, you have more questions, doubts, you can just ask me, write to me, and I will willingly be helping you. Okay? So thank you for coming again, and remember, an act of love is nourished by love, not lost. Love. Okay? So I'll see you next week. Conference 11, and we will be talking about how to fabricate soul and spirit, again with this practice. Thank you for coming, and see you next week. Bye.